Hey friends, Baba here again. Time for another tube. Hope you're doing great. It's nice summer morning here in Slovenia and here at the ashram. In case you're wondering what you're seeing behind me here, I just finished my morning practice here in my own room, and this is my private altar here. This calligraphy above me, it's a calligraphy by a famous Japanese spiritual leader called Meishu Sama. It says House of Light. And this statue here, it's Buddha Amitabha's head. It's Japanese also. And it's about 200-300 years old. You know, something that is really unfortunate and really common, of course, in Japan and elsewhere in the world is that there are lots of temples and churches closing down. And therefore, so much spiritual art, go unused. So this Amitabha's head is from one of those temples from Japan that was abandoned. So I saved him and gave him new home. It's beautiful. Anyway, today's topic: mindfulness and awareness, or mindfulness versus awareness. So two very different paradigms of spiritual training or meditation training. And this is something that I have spoken a lot throughout the years. So just to remind, in case you haven't seen my face before, I'm the founder and head teacher of Open Heart community, Open Heart Sangha, that I've been doing since 2008. So this is my 2026, it's my 18th year of teaching full time. So I've been at it for quite a while, and this topic of mindfulness versus awareness is something that I have studied much longer, and then at some point through my own practice and through many awakening experiences realized the difference of the two. Okay, so the reason why I want to talk about this is twofold. And the first one is that people don't really know about this, that there are two different types of paradigms, two different types of meditative paths. So I would like my friends to know about it. People really should know about this difference. And the second one is that I quite often see spiritual teachers from different traditions be confused about this, that there are two paradigms, and they often confuse, they don't really recognize awareness, but confuse awareness with something that I call attention or spatial awareness. I'll come back to this in a moment. But let's first define what I'm talking about. So mindfulness, what does that mean? Awareness, what does that mean? And what does mindfulness training mean? And what does awareness training mean? Okay, so practice of mindfulness means applying concentration and being mindful of something. And there are two different types of mindfulness practices. The first one you can say is concentration on an object, which means you focus, you concentrate on one thing. It might be the movement of your breath, that the movement of the breath flowing in and out is the object of concentration that you're focusing on. It might be the touch of breath here at the bridge of the nose. This is common, I've heard, in Theravada systems. It might be sometimes Tibetans use just putting a small stone on a table or on a floor and just staring at it. So you have some object that you can, whether it's breath or breath in the belly, breath in the body, breath, touch of breath here at the bridge of the nose, or a small pebble on the table, something like it. You have a clear object and you focus on that with one pointed focus. Like that. So you try to just stay with it, so that stay kind of your concentration, your focus kind of attached to that one object and just staying there. And okay, so that's the first type of mindfulness practice. And the second type is mindfulness of space, you could call. So spatial awareness. And this means that you are not focused on one object, but you are focused on 360-degree space around you. So you're focused on space. That's why I say spatial awareness or spatial attention. So you're aware of three-dimensional space. Three-dimensional space. Actually, the small object is also three-dimensional. It's just three-dimensional process, but it has three dimensions, this exercise. But maybe it's easier to understand how being attentive of space is 3D. So these two mindfulness practices, what happens, of course, is that when you are focused on a thing, object, or space, is that you get distracted. And then when you get distracted, the instruction is to return to your object of focus or surrounding space. These, by the way, these two types of meditations in Mahamudra terminology are called shamatha with an object and shamatha without an object. Shamatha with an object and shamatha without an object. Shamatha means often translated as calm, abiding, or concentration practice. So these are the two types of mindfulness. And what happens with both of these types of mindfulness is that they are not effortless. They are effort-based. So when you are watching breath, or whether you are attentive of this space around you, you need to apply effort to keep doing it. You need to keep applying effort in order for the practice to have an effect, an impact on your being, on your mind, on your energetics. Right? Do you understand it? Like you have to keep staring at the pebble or the breath to stay focused, to stay concentrated, and it will then make, when you are well concentrated, it will make the contents of the mind, the noise, the chaos, the hassle, it makes that, retract into the periphery of mind. Okay? And the same thing with this spatial awareness, that spatial attention, that you have to keep being aware of it, apply effort in order to kind of hold that space. And in that sense, because of this effort, it is not natural. Because of effort, it is not effortless. Okay. So these are the two types of mindfulness. And then there is the awareness paradigm, awareness practice, and this is effortless. This is effortless. The recognition of basic awareness is effortless. And here the training style is a bit different. Here the idea is that, well, first of all, when we have mindfulness practice, concentration practices, why do we need to get concentrated? What's the idea there? The idea is that you keep getting so distracted over thoughts in your mind, your impulses, reactions, that you want to control that energy, that functioning of the mind, control it and gradually tame it. Gradually tame it. So this is the idea. But with awareness paradigm, it's very different. So awareness paradigm also, of course, agrees that in deluded and habitual mind, we get distracted, that it's a confused delusional state. But the way how we access this effortless awareness are through different techniques. And the most effective technique of accessing effortless awareness is, in my experience, dynamic concentration. I call it dynamic concentration. So, long story short, what we want to, the purpose, how we access effortless awareness is that when there are all these programs of the mind and emotions, thoughts, impulses, and so on happening in our energetics, in our minds, we want to completely interrupt that functioning so that it goes stops for a moment. And this is, of course, it's actually maybe I shouldn't joke about it, because I remember when I was a young man, starting my practice and practicing Zen. It was a serious problem. This chaotic mind, this samsaric mind, this deluded mind, and its functioning. It was a real problem. Like samsara is real. So it was no laughing matter, I tell you, and it's the same for many who come to internal practice, that it's not laughing matter. So my experience was that for the first 4 years of my training, first 4 years of full-time training, I was practicing mindfulness practice in traditional Zen, and the process of it was that, I became really good at concentrating on one thing. I could have burned a hole in paper, but it really didn't. That was really the only thing I learned. And I put thousands and thousands of hours into learning that. But I learned afterwards that, it's not that much benefit came out from that massive effort. And then many years later, after I had many awakening experiences and my this basic awareness, which is effortless, started showing up, then I understood that, oh, okay, there is a whole different type of paradigm, whole different training here. And this was an important milestone, important turning point. So, what is this basic awareness and especially its effortlessness? Here we are talking about our fundamental nature, our true nature, or Buddha nature. Buddha nature means wakeful nature. Buddha means wakeful or awake. So here we are talking about something that we inherently have, that all people, you and I and everybody else, inherently have. And nobody can give it to us, nobody can take it away from us, except the delusions and afflictive emotions inside us. So they block it, they kind of mask it from us. So this basic nature of ours is naturally awake, naturally aware, effortlessly awake. And so there is this clarity aspect, this wakefulness. Kind of like it's sober. It's not drowsy, it's not confused, but effortlessly clear and present. And there are also other characteristics like softness, natural kindness, natural acceptance, openness, love, natural compassion, natural groundedness, natural ease, natural peacefulness. And all of these characteristics are effortlessly there. They are just inherently there. So this is this basic nature, true nature, Buddha nature. And the awareness paradigm, instead of using an effort-based exercise, practice, focus, it shatters through those chaotic habit patterns, shatters through them to then reveal this basic nature, this effortless awareness. And this is awareness. I used the term three-dimensional when I spoke of focusing on one thing, one object, or focusing on spatial awareness. I use the term three-dimensional. So three-dimensional height, width, and depth. So three-dimensional space. And our mind, if I use a little bit more technical terms, our mind made of thoughts, emotions, memories, impulses, this is all functioning of the subtle bodies. I spoke about subtle bodies in one of the previous episodes. And I'm kind of, as I'm making these episodes, I'm kind of going through basics. So I highly recommend my new listeners and watchers to go through the previous episodes, because I'm not repeating everything on all the episodes. But so this three-dimensional mind, it's actually our thoughts and emotions are actually happening three-dimensionally in our subtle bodies. So in the astral body and in the meridian channels of the astral body, as well as in the energy field or aura around the body. So this functioning happens actually in the three-dimensional subtle bodies of ours. But the curious thing about our basic awareness, our basic nature, true nature, is that uh, it is effortless. There is a sense of timelessness. There is a sense of selflessness. So there is no sense of self there. Self as in delusional self or selfing. So timeless and selfless. Spaceless. Spaceless also. What does that mean? Spaceless. Well, it simply means that it doesn't, our true nature and the true nature of all things is not from the absolute perspective, it is not three-dimensional, but zero-dimensional. Zero-dimensional. So this is the basic nature. Hopefully I'm not, by using such technical terms, hopefully it's not a turn off to you. But, when talking about these things, we have to have technical terminology and technical definitions, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to communicate these so important matters. So, zero-dimensional, spaceless, timeless, selfless. So this is the, from the absolute perspective, our nature. And really, the whole process, like I talked in that non-duality video, I am not the body, or am I? That video. The whole cultivation process of meditation, awakening, it's about establishing our absolute nature in our relative bodies, in our subtle bodies of mind and psyche, as well as in the physical body. This is really the only thing that we're doing. And also realizing that mind and thoughts, emotions, functioning of the psyche is not separate from that absolute. It's not separate from our nature. Okay, so coming back to mindfulness and awareness. So we have two types of mindfulness and one type of awareness. And the second type of mindfulness, that's spatial attention, being attentive of space. This is something that I have seen many teachers over the years confuse for awareness. But the two are very different, completely different. One is based on effort, the other one is effortless. And it kind of always surprises me that how teachers, some who have really long experience of practice and teaching, how they don't understand this. But having said that, in Open Heart, we have three different paths for each of the three bodies. And one of them is the path of wisdom and clarity, which works on in Buddhism, there is this 5 poisons or pancha klesha model, which explains the different afflictive factors in our mind and psyche. And it is taught in Buddha Dharma that the most fundamental of those afflictive factors is the poison of ignorance, or avidya klesha. And this poison of ignorance, what it means is that we are talking about selfing versus selflessness, or selfing versus emptiness. This term selflessness or emptiness, technically it's they have a different meaning, but I like to use, instead of speaking emptiness, which really doesn't mean anything, I think that selflessness is much more understandable term. So I use it kind of in a non-traditional way. But just to be clear, by using the term selflessness, I mean emptiness, emptiness of things, emptiness of self. So, so selfing versus selflessness. And this is a big topic, ignorance versus wisdom, or turning ignorance to wisdom. Turning ignorance to wisdom. I spoke about this briefly when I was, which one was it? One of the videos that I did just the other day when I was speaking about the sameness of samsara and nirvana, the sameness of problem and solution. And this is the so-called one taste, same taste stage of practice. Hopefully I'm not saying too many technical terms. And please, leave a comment and ask a question below. If there is something you don't understand, I'm happy to explain it and give another go of explaining these things. So I hope you feel comfortable in that sense, that I want to also make you feel comfortable, and I want to clarify these things. It's not much use if if I just sit here talking to the camera by myself, and then if you go away more confused than you came. So my motivation is very much to clarify these things. But selfing versus selflessness, ignorance versus wisdom, or turning ignorance into wisdom. This is a big topic, and I'll say a few words about this. So in Open Heart, we have practices that are not practiced elsewhere in the world. We have revitalized many practices and techniques that have been lost or forgotten. And one of those is dynamic concentration. Dynamic concentration, which means that, when you practice gentle concentration, when focusing on a pebble, breath, or focusing on in the 360 space, you are using your concentration in a gentle manner. It's like 5% or 10% of the full capacity of concentration. You're just gently focusing on the thing that you're focusing on. But dynamic concentration is different. Like when I said that 5% or 10% of the full capacity of concentration, concentration is like a volume knob. Like, I don't know if young people know anymore, but we used to have stereo systems where there was a volume knob. So you actually took hold of a knob and then turned it to increase or decrease the volume of the music. And that same knob is in concentration. And what dynamic concentration means is that instead of keeping the volume at 5 or 10%, you turn it momentarily to 70%, 80%, 90% volume. So you make the music go loud, 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 loud for a moment. And this kind of practice has almost entirely been lost from the face of the earth, and in Open Heart we're bringing it back. So dynamic concentration, we often speak in our Sangha, call it shouting practice. And this doesn't mean just crazy shouting, but it's yogic shouting. And there are, it's practiced in Tibetan Dzogchen systems. Also, I learned it in Japan in living in a Shinto training hall. But the way how it is done in Dzogchen is very different how we do it in Open Heart, which is that in Dzogchen systems, they shout 3, 4, 5 times max. So 3, 4, 5, boom, loud shouts. In open heart, we do it hundreds of times per session. And that's the lost method that we are bringing back. So hundreds of loud, controlled loud shouts. And the outcome of this is, like I said, that there is this chaotic programming happening in the energetics, in the mind, in the psyche, and you interrupt it. And in the awareness paradigm, the easiest way to interrupt it is to those loud, focused shouts. This can also be done, this principle of dynamic concentration can be done in other forms, but shout is the easiest because everybody can shout. So this very effectively interrupts all those habits, patterns, programs, selfing, and punches a hole into the aura, into the energetics. And when you have shouted 100 times, 200 times, 300 times with focus, punching it, punching, what happens is that, it becomes possible because we have interrupted those habit patterns so effectively, then this basic awareness can recognize itself. And that's effortless. So this is how it is done, and this is one very effective way how to do it. I have published many videos of this on Open Heart YouTube channel throughout the years. You can go there and check the playlists. There are dynamic concentration playlists there, and just I've talked about this and taught this for many years, and the result is that we speak of these awakening experiences in meditation, in Dharma. And the awakening experiences are the path. They are the path. The awakening experiences are how ignorance is turned into wisdom. Without awakening experiences, one remains ignorant of one's true nature. And I have talked about this a lot. There are instructionals on Open Heart YouTube, and we have also made many episodes about this on the Lion-Faced Guru podcast. So this is really central because ignorance, or avidya, is the most fundamental of the afflictions that we have. So turning ignorance into wisdom through many awakening experiences, which happen through recognition of this basic awareness, this is essential. This is absolutely essential. Without this, there really is no spiritual path. There is no path of awakening without this. So quite serious in that manner. So dynamic concentration is one of many lost practices that I have revitalized in our method and in our Sangha, and the results speak for themselves. I have at present maybe 27 or 28 students who have finished the full scope of wisdom emptiness practice, which means that their minds rest in this effortless awareness 24/7. So it is really completely effortless, clear, settled in that sense, fully established. And this is not difficult to do when you have the right tools. Again, when you have the right tools, this is not difficult to do. But when you have the wrong tools, lifetimes are not enough. And um so this is possible to do. Just last week on the retreat in Switzerland, I got to know a new friend, uh, uh, this really lovely American lady who is now retired, and she is 70 years old. And she has been practicing open heart practices for little over a year, was it? Around 1 year. And in 1 year time, she has already accomplished this. She has turned the avidya klesha, the poison of ignorance, completely into wisdom. She has realized the full scope of emptiness meditation in 1 year time because she had the right tools. In 1 year. Just as a comparison, uh, based on energy reading, I know so many teachers, masters, who I have high respect for their efforts, for what they're doing. But, it is very rare to find uh, a traditional master who would have accomplished the same, even if they have been practicing for a lifetime, even if they are 70 years old, 80 years old, close to 90 years old. It is very rare to find such a person, such a teacher or master who has accomplished the same. And this is because that mindfulness paradigm is not effective in this purpose. Everybody can easily test this. Well, if you start testing mindfulness practice, it will take you months, if not years, to really even understand it, depending how much you practice. But I was practicing all day long, every day, for 4 years to come up with really good concentration skills. And then I figured out that, what the heck do I do with all this concentration? Like, I was really good at it, but not much use for it. So I became very disillusioned about it. And this is why, we don't do that kind of concentration practice in open heart. On the other hand, you can spend the next 5 minutes first shouting syllables of prayers, syllables of mantras, and do it one set of 100 reps, then take a break, second set of another 100, take a break, third set of 100 reps, and then just sit and see what happens. It will take you 5 minutes to test it, and I never went back. My friends have never went back, and many of my students and friends have been practicing for 20, 30, 40, even 50 years based on mindfulness. And when they learned dynamic concentration, these practices that enable them to strip off all these habit patterns and recognize effortless basic awareness, they never went back. Okay, I am terribly sorry. It's almost 40 minutes. I don't understand what I've been talking about 40 minutes, but hopefully what I said makes sense. Hopefully it's inspiring also. I want to try to inspire my listeners, my friends, and also try to educate, put proper information out there. And oh, by the way, so I've been talking about some of the examples that I said in this video. I've discussed in much more depth in my second book. You can get it from the Open Heart website, openheartofallbeings.com. The name of that second book is What's Next on Post Awakening Practice. So recommend you to check it out. Thank you very much, everybody. Bless you today and every day. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. Bless you. See you in the next one.